Good afternoon, children. This is my fifth video on the chapter Digestion and Absorption. In the previous video, I had discussed the structure and functions of digestive organs and the various associated glands. Alright, so today we will move further with our new topic, physiology of digestion. As we start the physiology or the parts of reactions with various enzymes to act upon, let us quickly revise some basic terms once again. As soon as we take the first bite of the food, we know that the digestion starts right away. So there's a term we have already discussed, ingestion, which means taking of food into the buccal cavity through the mouth. Here in the mouth, food is cut into pieces by the teeth. The salivary glands, they pour their saliva, moistens the food. Then enzyme called as salivary amylase, also called as ptyalin. This starts the digestion of carbohydrates. And it is remarkable to know here that some 30% of the starch is hydrolyzed in the buccal cavity. Also, the preparation of food for the further digestion begins. Then comes the next process of swallowing or deglutition, which is the movement of bolus into the esophagus, right? That is from the oral cavity. Now the food is swallowed, which will reach the stomach. During swallowing, we should revise that the glottis remains closed and the breathing stops. Then, as soon as the food reaches the stomach, the process of digestion begins in the following way. Digestion, during this process, both physical and chemical composition of ingested food changes. So it is of two types. The process of digestion, it is mechanical, which means breaking of food particles, churning of the food, and involvement and movement along the digestive tract. Whereas the chemical part of digestion means hydrolysis of the food with the help of enzymes, that is hydrolases, which are present in the digestive juices. So as we say, digestion of two kinds, mechanical and chemical. Mechanical means the breaking of food particles and chemical means the action of hydrolases. There are four principal types of hydrolases: carbohydrases, proteinases, lipases, and nucleases. Carbohydrases, they are carbohydrate digesting enzymes. Proteinases are protein digesting enzymes. Lipases are fat digesting enzymes. And nucleases, they split DNA and RNA. Then, let us now start one by one with the topic digestion in buccal or mouth cavity. In the buccal cavity, first begins the mechanical digestion, that is the food is broken down, and then the chemical digestion. Under the chemical digestion, the first thing to see is that starch, which is an insoluble carbohydrate, is hydrolyzed by the action of salivary amylase or ptyalin into maltose plus isomaltose and alpha dextrins. So this is the first reaction that takes place into the mouth. And as I said, 30% of the starch is hydrolyzed in the buccal cavity. Alright. Then here it is important to tell you that lysozymes that are present in the saliva, they act as antibacterial enzymes. They will kill the germs present in the food, if any. Also, we should know here that digestion does not occur anywhere when the food is in the food pipe or the esophagus. Then, digestion in the mouth will not take place in case of proteins and fats. Why? Because saliva does not contain any proteolytic enzyme which will digest protein or any lipase which will digest the fat. So this is over in the buccal cavity till here. In buccal cavity, remember, only starch is broken down into these products. Proteins and fats, they are not, because there are no enzymes in saliva to act on proteins or fats. Now the food has reached the stomach and the process of digestion begins here. Normally, the food stays in the stomach for 4 to 5 hours, and then there are muscular contractions in the stomach wall which further churn up the food, break them, mix them, and the chemical digestion now once again begins with the addition of following. Stomach releases gastric juice, which is comprised of mucus secreted by the goblet cells, dilute hydrochloric acid, and two inactive proteases. Proteases means, just now I told you, they will be digesting the proteins. So here they are pepsinogen and prorenin. Then lipase, that digests fat, is present in very small quantity by the gastric glands. Right? So let us see how the digestion begins in the stomach. First, the mucus. This protects the stomach wall from hydrolytic action of enzymes. So this is important to know what is the function of mucus. It is protection from hydrolytic enzymes. Then what is the function of dilute HCl? It softens the food, number one. Then stops the action of salivary amylase, because now this should stop the action. Then this HCl converts an inactive enzyme, pepsinogen, into active pepsin. This will act on proteins to break them down. Then this dilute HCl also maintains the appropriate pH value in the stomach, which is around 1.8, that is acidic. Alright, this will control the opening and closing of the pylorus, or the wall that is there between stomach and the small intestine. So, digestion of proteins in the stomach goes like this, with a pH around 2, right? So, pepsinogen is converted into active pepsin, right? And the same pepsin on a pH around 2 will break down the proteins into proteoses and peptones, that is the peptides. Here, there is a note to understand. Gastric juice does not contain any carbohydrate hydrolyzing enzyme, and HCl destroys the ptyalin in food, thus no digestion takes place of carbohydrates. So very important thing, children. In mouth, I told you, no digestion of fats and proteins, and in stomach there is no digestion of carbohydrates. Reason? Because there are no enzymes to hydrolyze, and whatever was there that came into the stomach is broken down or destroyed by the dilute HCl. Alright, so here in stomach, remember, only two things to be digested: proteins, which have started to be acted upon, and fats. So the next action is dilute HCl. Once again, it also converts prorenin into active renin. Now prorenin, it is absent in adults, but in infants and children this forms active renin, which catalyzes the conversion of soluble milk protein, we call as casein, into paracasein and whey proteins. So this is what takes place, the reaction in infants and children, because adults this enzyme prorenin is absent. Now what happens with this paracasein? The paracasein is going to be converted into calcium paracaseinate with the reaction with calcium. Alright, and this is precipitated as a solid curd, which is called as coagulation of milk. Right, so this is how we can say that the milk is curdled. Then again in stomach, as I told you, proteins, they had already started to be acted upon. Then comes the fats. Now the fats, they are broken down by the gastric lipase. Remember children, lipase is present in the intestine also later. So here, because it is by the walls of the stomach, we call it at the gastric lipase. And here it is secreted in very small amount. And what it does, it carries out mild hydrolysis of fats into fatty acids and glycerol. Alright, now once again we will understand here that this lipase, already it was in very little quantity, and now it will be destroyed after carrying out. See, lipase secreted by stomach carries out mild hydrolysis of fats, and soon it is destroyed by HCl present in gastric juice. So remember, in the stomach, HCl is destroying any of the enzyme that came from the mouth, that is salivary amylase, and HCl also after some time will destroy this lipase, which is already in very small quantity. But yes, to sum up, in the stomach region, proteins had been broken down and also some amount of fats. Now the food acquires the texture of thick acidic mixture of gastric juices plus the semi-digested food in the stomach, and we call it as chyme, right? This chyme moves into the small intestine. So small intestine, if you see the diagram, the food after staying for 4 to 5 hours now has moved by the pylorus or the opening of stomach into the small intestine as the chyme, right? In the small intestine, once again, there will be a mechanical digestion which is generated by the muscular layer of small intestine, which help in churning of the food, and then comes the chemical digestion. Also to note here, as you see the duodenum part, the U of small intestine, there is the duct bringing the bile and also the duct bringing the pancreatic juice. So the chemical digestion in the duodenum of the small intestine, first thing will be by the action of bile. So what does bile do? The secretion from the liver here, it will neutralize the HCl. So that means whatever was the medium, such acidic medium around 2 in the stomach, will be now neutralized, and the pH now rises to 8 to around 8.6, that is the medium becomes alkaline. This is very important for the medium to become alkaline because the enzymes will not act on the food in an acidic medium. Second function of bile is that it breaks down or emulsifies fats. Then bile activates the pancreatic and intestinal lipase. That means now the fat digestion will be in full swing. And finally, the absorption of digested food and fat soluble vitamins. So that is what is brought by the bile in this journey of food in the duodenum. And what is the pancreatic juice going to do here? The pancreatic juice has a pH of 7.5 to 8.5. All right, and this will contain like 3 inactive enzymes like proteinases, chymotrypsinogen, and procarboxypeptidases. So this is what we are going to talk just now. Here in the next page, we'll talk about the digestion of food by the pancreatic juice. First, let us begin. In the small intestine, what happens with the carbohydrate digestion? Here, in duodenum, the starch is broken down into maltose, isomaltose, and alpha-dextrin by pancreatic amylase or amylopsin, which works at a pH of 8.7. Remember children, whether the starch was being broken in the mouth, the products here and the products in the small intestine, the products are same, right? Then in the ileum part, remember small intestine has 3 regions, the duodenum, jejunum and ileum. So in the ileum part of small intestine, the maltose broken down by maltase into 2 molecules of glucose because this is a double sugar. Isomaltose broken by isomaltase into glucose and dextrin. Sucrose broken by sucrase into glucose and the fructose or the fruit sugar. Lactose broken by lactase into glucose and galactose. And finally, the alpha dextrins are broken by alpha dextrinase into glucose. So this happens in the ileum part of small intestine. So this is the digestion of the carbohydrates. So as you can see, the digestion finally reaches the level of their smallest unit. Now coming to the digestion of proteins in the small intestine. Proteins in the small intestine will be under 2 headings. First in the duodenum by pancreatic juice, and then in the ileum part by the intestinal juice. So remember, these 2 juices are different children. pancreatic juice is coming from the pancreas, right? Whereas intestinal juice is to be secreted by the intestine walls itself. All right. So the first reaction by the pancreatic enzymes here, trypsinogen, which is a proenzyme, is converted into trypsin, which is an active enzyme, by enterokinase or enteropeptidase, which is present in the intestinal juice, right? So this is present in the intestinal juice, and this causes the hydrolysis of proteins into peptides. The next is proteins. They are broken by this active trypsin into large peptides or polypeptides. Then the other enzyme is the other reaction is trypsin now activates another enzyme, chymotrypsinogen, which is a proenzyme, into active chymotrypsin. This chymotrypsin further breaks down proteins into large peptides and polypeptides. And finally, the trypsin breaks converts procarboxypeptidases into carboxypeptidases, and this further acts on large peptides and protein or peptones into dipeptides and amino acids. So as you can see, children, there were 3 enzymes under the pancreatic category to work. What are the 3 enzymes? The first is trypsinogen. Then the second is chymotrypsinogen, and the third is procarboxypeptidases. First they are converted to their active form, and finally the protein is digested to their smallest of units called amino acid. Then in the intestinal juice by the intestinal juice in ileum, the peptides or peptones, they are converted into amino acids and dipeptides. This takes place by the action of amino peptidases. Then finally, now as we see here, carbohydrates were digested and broken down to the smallest of units. Similarly, proteins are also over with their digestion, and they have been brought to the level of amino acids, that is the building block of proteins. The last of the categories here is the digestion of fats, which is brought in the small intestine in 2 regions, duodenum and ileum. In the duodenum, fats and lipids are broken to glycerol, fatty acids, diglycerides and monoglycerides by pancreatic lipase or stepsin. Whereas in ileum, the triglycerides, they along with water, they are broken into diglycerides and fatty acids. This is brought by the intestinal lipase. Remember children, lipase is secreted and is present by the enzyme of pancreatic juice as well as the intestinal juice. So here this reaction, this portion of the products, now they are the reactants here. These, that is diglycerides and water, are further broken to monoglycerides and fatty acids, and finally monoglycerides and water, they change into fatty acid and glycerol. So the moment we reach these final products, fatty acid and glycerol, will be the complete digestion of fat. Here when we talk of amino acid, will be complete digestion of protein, and here reaching the glucose level will be the complete digestion of carbohydrate. Then any nucleic acids that are there would be digested in duodenum and ileum. The DNA would be broken by DNase into deoxyribonucleotides, and RNA by RNase into ribonucleotides. In ileum, that is the last part of small intestine, the nucleotides will be changed into nitrogenous base plus pentose, and here the nucleosides would be broken into hexose sugars plus phosphates. And now in the small intestine, food acquires the term or the texture of an alkaline digested and fine paste-like structure of the food, which is called as chyle. Here the food was semi-digested and it was in gastric juice combined, so it was called chyme. Now in the intestine, the medium has changed to alkaline and now it is in a very fine paste, and this is called as chyle. So what moves further to the large intestine now will be called as chyle, and in the large intestine, the absorption of water will take place, right? 75% of the water would be absorbed, or it will be, or we can say the chyle entering here contains 75% water and some proteinaceous substances along with carbohydrate residues. So in the large intestine, which is known to absorb the water from the food, right? A large quantity of water is absorbed. The proteinaceous part that may be present, if any, right, will be broken down by the bacteria that live in the colon. First bacteria is E. coli, and the second bacteria that lives in the large intestine is Streptococcus faecalis, and the product will be amino acid. So this amino acid, the building block of protein, is absorbed by the blood. Then the colon bacteria, that is these ones, they also synthesize or manufacture vitamin B and vitamin K. So that means they are helping us, all right? They convert the bile pigments, the same bacteria, they also convert bile pigments into brown pigments which give color to the feces. Sometimes the intestinal bacteria, they produce foul smelling compounds which give characteristic odor to the feces, and intestinal gas also that is produced. And antibiotics, sometimes when we are depending on medicines, they kill these bacteria along, both the bacteria, they are destroyed by the antibiotics, and they cause the condition what we call as dysentery. So this is all about the process of digestion. You have to understand how the process of digestion begins from mouth. See, normally our food comprises of carbohydrates, fats, proteins, right? And this is what has to be digested and broken down. So how it is going to be broken into the mouth, then how it continues into the stomach, how it changes into chyme, it enters the small intestine, how the things are broken down in the carbohydrate category, protein category, or the fat category, and finally the nucleic acids. So this completes the process of digestion in the small intestine only. Remember, large intestine does not do mainly any other thing except absorption. But here I told you 3 things about large intestine, that the bacteria thriving, they will break down if any protein content is there, right? And they will also synthesize vitamin B and vitamin K. So this is all by the bacteria that they do in the large intestine, and this completes the process of digestion of the foods. In my next video, I will talk about the assimilation or absorption of the digested food. Any queries, children? You are free to ask. Thank you.